Hello and welcome to MXM Live. We are delighted to have here for the first time in a video interview, Mr. His official name is Laxmiraj Seetharam Nayak, but he is better known as Raj Nayak. Welcome to MXM Live, Raj. How have you been?
Fine. I mean, you're the first person who's got my full name right. People always ask me, initially I used to write it as LS Nayak, and people used to ask me what does LS stand for, and I used to say lovable sweet. But I think you managed to get it, the full name. So kudos to you. I'm fine. I'm just recovering from a viral, but good.
Viral is in the air, and as is the excitement about Ideabaaz.
Yeah, we're very excited. I don't know whether you got a chance to
I
watch any of the episodes. 2 have come out so far, and would love a candid feedback.
I must confess to you that before it even came on, the first comparison was to Shark Tank. Shark Tank has been there for forever. You were, in a way, associated with it when at Viacom 18 as well, because it was part of the Viacom 18 portfolio. So the comparison was there. But what changed for me was the fact that you had somebody speaking in a non-English, non-Hindi language. I think that is what will change stuff for a show like that.
In fact, Shark Tank has always been a Sony product. In fact, somebody else had taken the rights for it, and they had come to us at Viacom, and for whatever reason at that moment we were not able to do it, and it had stuck with me. Coming back to what you said about this people coming and pitching in different languages, what you just mentioned, right? Yeah. So that was a deliberate decision because first and foremost, we were very clear in our heads that we will get compared. We would be lying if we didn't think that we will be compared. And the good thing and bad thing of being the first or not being the first. The good thing about being the first is you have no benchmarks, you can just go out there. The coming second is you will be compared to. But the beauty is also you get a lot of learnings. Okay, so there's a lot of learnings of what somebody's doing right or wrong or things like that. And we never looked at us as a competition to Shark Tank. We still don't do, because the whole process, when we started this whole thing, when the founders came and met me and discussed, and the show was never on the horizon.
It was way back in 2000, right? Around the pandemic.
No. We actually... this idea, what we discussed now?
Yeah.
No. This is 2 years ago.
All right. Okay. I read somewhere that it came in 2000, right?
No. Okay. 2 years ago when we sat down, and the whole problem, the show was never on the horizon. The whole idea was of starting a exchange, a marketplace for startups and individuals, for startups and investors. And because, in small tier 2, tier 3 cities and towns and all, people don't know how to get access to an investor. There are all these accelerator programs and all, but nobody knows how to actually go to an investor, how to make a page. They don't know how to get legal counsel. They can't afford it in some cases. CAF thing, GST, all this setting up a business is a very difficult. You're an entrepreneur, so you know that an entrepreneur's life is never easy.
All right.
Yeah. So that was the thought. That was the thought of saying, can we create something like the Y Combinator in India? That was the thought. Okay. And then to get the exchange going, okay, and to make it credible, make it successful and all, you need to spend a lot of marketing money as well. So instead of spending a marketing money, that's when the idea came. Say, why don't we do a show, which becomes as a marketing tool, as well it gives platform to all the investors to come and showcase their product or their pitch to the world. That's how it all came through. We are very clear that you will get compared. In fact, actually somebody told me on my face and said, Raj, why are you doing a poor cousin of Shark Tank? And my response at that time was, why should it be a poor cousin? Why can't it be a rich relative? It can be anything. And my cousins are sitting in Jodhpur and Ajmer and Pondicherry and Ernakulam. and their cousins are sitting in San Jose and Washington DC and elsewhere. So there's no comparison. But we felt that it was not about Shark Tank or Ideabaaz. We are very happy Shark Tank exists. We are happy if 2 more shows come, because the purpose and the mission is not the show. So if you watch the show, I don't know whether you showed it, we have not given any emphasis to TRPs or rating, no drama, nothing. The idea is, can we actually create a movement that can propel, fuel India's startup economy in tier 2, tier 3 towns and even in cities? Okay, that's one. Two, a lot of people, when they come on a show or come to pitch, they have an idea, but they don't have the seed fund. They don't have anything. Does that mean they can't be an entrepreneur? They can't be a startup? So we said, you don't have to have a startup, because if you have a startup, what am I doing? I'm helping you get funding, right? Then you go to a PE or you go to anybody. If you have an idea also, you should come and pitch. So if you see in our show, you don't need to have a startup. You can just say, I have an idea and I want to register, and I can come and I can pitch. And in the first episode, I think one people who got funded was just that they got funded on the basis of an idea, right? So that is the beauty of it. And then we said, one of the things is, why should people come and only pitch in English or Hindi? Okay, we are a nation with so many languages. Because I may be very fluent in Kannada, I may not be fluent in English. Doesn't mean I'm not smart, I'm not educated or anything. It's just that my language skills may not be so articulate. So that's when we said, why don't we just allow people to come and pitch in language of their choice, what they feel comfortable. So that was our first differentiator. If you see, that's the first differentiator. And I must give big credit to ZTV for this, because, it's not easy for a broadcaster to say, okay, on a Hindi Mass GC channel, I will allow somebody to come and talk in Telugu and Kannada and Malayalam and, Bhojpuri and Bengali and Gujarati or Marathi, whichever languages, right? So it's a bold decision from their point. But they saw the vision, they saw the thought process. They said, great, why not? And at that time, we didn't even think of dubbing it into languages and putting it out. That time, the thought was only one channel, ZTV and Z5. That was the whole thought process. As we progressed, as we met people, as we interacted with... See, yes, season 1 is always the toughest, because the startups are also wondering, hey, is this real? Are these people real? Okay, so there's trust element that is required to bring them on board. So that was a challenge. Getting the Titans was a challenge. But over a period of time, because we've been working on this for 2 years, and the founders are very passionate, both Mudit and Jeet are extremely passionate. So we were able to stitch a few other deals. We were able to get IIT Madras as an incubation partner. Because that we needed credibility. We needed authenticity. We needed people with expertise. So we did a few of these tie-ups, and that brought a lot of structure to the whole thing. The second thing was, we said, a startup, somebody coming and pitching there, everybody, whoever comes and pitches, right? MXM today, for you, it's your baby. For you, MXM is the best trade publication in the country, because at least you are endeavoring to make it, right? Similarly, whoever other publications are, they all come with good intent to make it the best. Nobody comes with intent saying, I'll make a bad movie or a bad show or a bad startup, right? So we said, our brief to the Titans was very clear. This show is about compassion. This show is about empathy. This show is about hope. This show is about mentorship. That is what the show is. So you will not see any startup being humiliated. You will not see any startup being dismissed. So, like I told, like I said it, अगर आप उनको पैसा नहीं दे सकते हो, तो उनका हौसला बढ़ा दो, उनको उम्मीद दो, कुछ भी नहीं दे सकते, मेंटरशिप दे दो, नहीं दे सकते तो फिर ठीक है, wish them good luck, and that was the brief, and that changed that's the whole narrative of the show.
Having said that, of course, all of this is very good, and I've seen that, you've not got the usual suspects as judges. You've got some interesting new faces like Rishabh Mariwala, who's there. But tell me, finally it's a show on Z, okay, which is, of course, also making efforts to get back to
Number one.
to be the number one. Uh, it is on Z5, and you need to finally make money, right? At the end of the day. So, how do you manage all of that? And you mentioned that you're not really interested in TRPs.
Why do you think advertisers will only fund programs which has TRPs? Why do you think advertisers won't fund programs that are genuinely doing something for the betterment of the nation, for fueling the startup economy, for seeing, there's a J. Walter Thompson quote, right? Medium is the message of getting onto because all these startups, like IDFC Bank is one of our sponsors, right? I mean, all these startups could be their future customers. All these startups can tomorrow buy cars. All these startups, and they're getting funded in the first place. Okay.
No, that's a question that I must ask you, because there's nobody better to discuss revenues than you. And I still remember, and I'm going to bring this example because you were representing NDTV, and despite the fact that the world knew that NDTV did not attract good big ratings, but you managed to strike some good sponsorship AFP deals for them. So clearly, what you're trying to say is that you don't need to really get great ratings to be able to get revenues.
Depends. If you're doing a Sasbo series, you need ratings because there are hundreds of them. But if you're doing something completely different, then people are not going to come and get associated with you for the ratings. They're going to get associated with you because of the positioning, the packaging, the wanting to be seen. It's like you want to be seen in a particular medium or a particular show which resonates with what you also want to do and position your brand, right? So that's what it is. So like when so that's the way we are looking at it. And even if you look at Shark Tank, and since you mentioned it, the ratings are not very big, but it's a very, very successful show. It writes a lot of revenue for Sony. So we don't have to have ratings to write revenue.
Absolutely, I agree with you. So tell me, it's just been what, 7 years since you left from 18. November November 2018 is when you left, and you got back after all these years. A lot has happened since then. There's been a fair amount of consolidation. There've been fair amount of movements at the top deck. How's it been? As you look back, how have the last 7 years been? House of Cheer, and interesting things that you've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I said it's all been hunky dory, okay? But because the pandemic actually threw you off gear, threw everybody off gear, not just me, threw everybody off gear. But if you're starting something new, then it was a challenge because you couldn't go out, you didn't have an office and things like that. But my focus was only on House of Cheer, and that's one business that I've built. It's taken me a long time to build it, but it's slowly getting traction. And now it is, I can with conviction say, it is crossed break even, and hopefully now onwards it will start making money. But it was burn all this while. Okay, so I've been through that founders startup mode where 5-6 years I've been burn, even though my costs were very less. But I burn, and I was a salaried employee all my life. So there was only certain savings that I had. So and I didn't take a single penny funding because I wanted proof of concept for myself. Somebody told me very interesting long time ago, a very good dear friend of mine. He said, Raj, when you're out of college and you're doing a startup and people write checks, they have no expectation from you. They're doing it, theek hai, hoga to hoga, nahi hoga to nahi hoga. He said, when you have a long career, successful career, then even if you raise capital from family and friends, they have huge expectations from you. So decide whether you want to take money or you don't want to take money. So I chose not to take money. I said, if I have no conviction and if I'm not putting my own money on it, then there's something wrong. Then I should switch gears and do something else. And that's when I stayed the course on House of Cheer. And I'm happy I did that because happiest places to work now is becoming a most sought after certification in the corporate world. So that is one business that's going. But I realized that I needed, you can't live on love and fresh air. You also needed some money coming in, especially when you've been in a job which is paying you a fancy salary, all costs or expenses are taken care of, suddenly no revenue for 7 years, you have to pay, and you have to also run a house. So that's when I started doing consulting work. And as I was doing my consulting work to get some money coming in, and that's when one led to another. And then we launched House of IPs in July this year.
Yeah, you tied up with Atul.
Yeah,
who's
Atul and I have known each other for 2.5 decades, and it was and he saw what I was doing, right? And he said, "Why are you not scaling it up? Why are you not doing big?" I said, "I'm doing one house of cheer. I don't want to take more headaches, you know." He said, and this was on a flight. This was on a flight too, because I'm on the advisory board. So there was a meeting in Dubai, and then we were flying together. And on the plane, he said, "We'll do it together." I said, "Okay, let's do it together." And that was that happened just like that. And I'm glad it did, because Atul is a great partner. He you know, you also need somebody to show you the mirror. He's one of those guys who will show you the mirror, who will tell you things on your face, which is good, and also very supportive. And he comes a lot of experience in areas that I probably is my weakness.
But as you look back, how do you think? What is your view of the current broadcast scene, especially linear television, something that you've been associated with all along? Do you think it's almost on the road to oblivion, or or
No,
death?
I don't think it's on the road to oblivion at all. I've said this before, and I say it now. I said it 8 or 10 years ago in Fiki. I think people don't give a shit. This whole thing about digital and TV and all is rubbish. In my opinion, there's only one thing: content. Right? Content is like water.
Yeah.
It will flow and find its own path. Right? The only difference is, earlier you said TV, and you said watching on TV, but right now you watch it on mobile, you watch it on iPad, you watch it on a. So the way I put it is, chota dabba, bada dabba, usse bada dabba. And if somebody is very rich, maybe have a 102-inch screen also. Today, what is digital and what is TV? Anything that comes via internet is digital. Right.
But let's just pause for a second. So, let's look at the traditional linear television, as it's called. What, according to you, is the state of that? The good old GECs.
I think they're still doing very well. You look at the overall viewership of all channels put together, they're doing very well. Yes, it must have come down from what it was at its peak. And that has been happening not today. It's happening over a period of time for 2-3 reasons. One is fragmentation. One is more options. Now, your OTTs of this world, they have cannibalized into their own thing, but each one has their own OTTs as well, right? So that fragmentation has happened. But overall content consumption has only gone up over the years. Now, linear may be one way of doing it. Okay. OTT may be another way of doing it. Today, people are talking about mini-series, 2-minute things. So it will evolve. Now, as a broadcasting company, the question you have to ask yourself is to say, okay, are we going to be fixated on what we are only doing, or are we going to evolve as things evolve, so that we are catering to all the segments? Somebody wants mini bite, we should be able to do that. Somebody wants to watch it on an OTT platform, we should be able to do that. Whether it's your own OTT or you can give it to somebody, you can syndicate it. The way to look at it is, what is the revenue per minute of content that I'm generating? Nobody looks at it that way. And the day you start looking at it, you will find it can be a very viable, very successful business. And it is. The fact is that most of at least the top leading 4 or 5 players are profitable.
Well, they are profitable, but one is unsure about the road ahead.
I don't think so. I think we are reading too much into it. We said this 10 years ago. We say it again. It will continue. Linear will continue. Okay. And even if somewhere cord cutting is happening, it has happened in my house, for example. Cord cutting is happening. You're going to watch that content in some other form. So the And the brand will still be there. So even if you're watching it on, say, YouTube, it'll still be a ZTV YouTube or a Star TV YouTube or a Sony YouTube or whatever it is. So the brand can still hold and find different outlets, to bring in more viewers and to bring in more revenue.
You spoke about revenue. Given the fact that most broadcast is not really surviving on subscription revenues as much as advertising revenues, or perhaps they should be getting more advertising revenues. That's under leveraged. Your views on the current ad spend scene again? While you've been doing some consulting.
It has gone down. I mean, it has really impacted over the last few months. But yesterday evening, I was speaking to somebody very, very senior, in one of the largest agencies. And he told me this Diwali, from a consumer consumption point, apparently has been the best. This Diwali has been the best. May not be for all categories, but for some categories, it has been very good. But overall, I believe it's been a very good Diwali. Now, normally, what happens is when you have something like this, when there is consumption happening big time, advertising follows. So, given that thing, I think hopefully by end of November, you should see again an upswing in the advertising. This is what my understanding is. I've not been too close to it of late, so so my numbers may not. But this is
how can Raj Nayak not be so too close to things? You you may be off. You may be off the. You may not be batting on the field, but you clearly have a good eye on whatever is happening.
Yeah, but advertising for broadcasters has taken a beating. There's no doubt about that. It's also to do with, like I said, fragmentation, money is getting distributed, advertisers pulled off, with the GST thing coming, consumer companies pulled back, they just stopped advertising because for them, logistics they had to address big time, because half the stock was out, changing the MRP. So until that happened, they said, let's just put a pause. So a lot of pause also has happened. But I think overall it's going to be fine. I'm a born optimist, you see.
That you are, but assuming, let's take hypothetically, you are an Ideabaaz in chief always. If you were given an opportunity to run, a broadcast company all over again, would there be something different from that you would perhaps like to do?
I was given, I should tell you that, but I didn't accept it for whatever reason. Because I made up my mind. I mean, when I quit my job, it was very clear I will not get back into the corporate world. Not because I didn't like the corporate world. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the benefit of it. I loved it, but I wanted to do something different. At some point in life, you need to do something different. You need to try new things, have that adrenaline rush. It can't always be about money. It can't be always about power. It has to be about self-satisfaction, happiness, freedom. I call it freedom to be happy. I can today, like I said, I can plan a holiday and go and spend time with my grandchild. I can plan my holiday 2 months in advance without bothering about anybody or anything, right? It's my decision. So I wanted that freedom, and probably at this time of my life, I think I value it even more than I did in the past. But having said that, if I was in a position today, I would relook at everything. What happens is when going is good, nobody wants to touch anything. When things are going bad, then you start finding faults. Then you go other extreme. Okay. When going is good, you need to sit down and say, okay, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. How are we gonna push the envelope? What is it new we are gonna do so that we planning for the future? Okay. One of the things which I had suggested, I think somebody tried it also at one point. If you used to see in the good old days, sometimes what happens is things that have worked, you forget. And even in your own life, some things have worked very well for you. As you progress, you want change for the sake of change. You don't stick to, you've forgotten what you used to do, which is to work for you. Right? So one of the things which I think if a broadcaster is bold enough to do is to look at 13-week episodes. 13-week means 65 episodes. And in 1 year, you can do 4 13-week episodes. I'm just giving this just an idea since you asked me, right? 65 episodes. So they are fast-paced. They are like OTT. They are season. And if it works for you, bring it back season 2, season 3, season 4. If it doesn't work for you, you can try something new. You can try something new. It gives an opportunity to experiment. What happens with your daily series, which you're doing, which is you're not planning it with a finite ending. So it's, every week you're turning out, you're looking at the rating, you're turning, it's going, it's dragging, and there are hajar of it. What is it that you will do different? When we did 24, okay, when we did Nagin, there was, but that's the problem with broadcasters. When things are going good, then you don't want to take it off air because it's writing such good revenue, and then you do. But we took a hard call to stop. But then, so that is the thing. You need to be able to take that thing. And the cost is not going to go very much high.
Do you think 24 was ahead of its time, and do you think it will work now in the current?
Of course it will work. It worked then, it will work now. Again, because it was not a homegrown thing, okay? We did not have digital rights, we did not have this. But if somebody creates something like that today, and it has an opportunity to... See, this is another thing, right? The same content can go on TV, the same content can go on your OTT, the same content can grow into other platforms, right? So that's why I keep saying revenue per minute of content. That's the way to look at it.
And what is your view about news television? Forget the content that is there on news television, but the way it is run in terms of revenues, in terms of the future.
You don't ask me. This is a very loaded question. Let me put it.
As I said, no comment on the content.
No. Let me say it this way. I've stopped watching to a large extent. Okay, I get most of my news digitally, majority of it, or still some newspapers who I read or things like that. But having said that, again, you've devalued your own product. You commoditized your own product. And now it's too late. Now to reverse it is a very difficult challenge. No matter which CEO comes, it's a thing. So they are going through a very tough phase, all news channels. I'm sure some of the main ones may still be making money and things like that, but the torso and the long tail are bleeding. I don't know how they survive also. I don't know what's the... how do they exist? I don't even know how many news channels are there in the country.
Well, I guess they don't survive on ad revenues for sure, or ad revenues in the normal way that comes in, because clearly the pressure is there. News gathering is an expensive proposition.
Yeah, it is. Now, again, if somebody is very clever there, smart, and see, that's the beauty today. Today, if I want to start a news channel, of course, you need license. That's a different thing. But other than that, suppose I want to do something on the YouTube, for example, right? You can create a really good product because with low costs, because shoot today, you can shoot on an iPhone, okay, and you can put very good quality content, and you can have stringers in 50 cities who will give you content. You just have to then one person to sit down and package it and have a sutradhar or an anchor.
That's right.
There's so many things you can do, but somebody needs to do it.
And nobody has done that. Well, you have an ANI which has of course grown over the last, if I might get the number of years right, 14 years. Because of the fact that
there is huge opportunity, and again, we are so focused on language is something that is diversity of language that we have in this country, so beautiful, so rich. Nobody has tried to stitch it. I'm not saying you can do it in multilingual, but I'm saying you can create a platform with all language channels on YouTube, because the same content can come in, videos can come in. The language narration can change into different languages. And I think with AI, as it gets better in terms of translation and dubbing and things like that, I think it may happen sooner than later. You and I are just talking about it. Somebody must be thinking and doing it.
Oh yes, I'm sure they are, and there are a fair number of good content news players, if I might say,
Yeah.
news buzz.
There's one channel I watched recently. It's, I think, ex-NDTV people who launched a digital news channel. I love it. It's called Peak TV.
Hmm.
Have you watched it? I don't know whether you watched it.
I have seen a bit of it, but I've not watched it.
Watch it. I mean, I watch it on Instagram and I watch it on Twitter. But I love the way they've gone about it. It's like uh, suddenly now that kind of content I want to consume, and it doesn't take too much of my time.
Right.
Right. And these are two youngsters, two kids who started it.
I know of an Instagram, handle uh, that somebody in my family started, and it gotten some 12,000 regular followers in no time. And there are publications which are not able to do that in terms of loyal followings.
What I've realized over the years, and maybe it's reinforced now with Ideabaaz, is that what people want is authenticity. They want real. They want raw. They don't care if you package it or not. They want it. They want to feel connected with something. They know that this is not, they don't want you to make it glamorous and things. Unless you're doing a show, that's a different thing. During the pandemic, I did something because I didn't even know those days how to use Zoom. But since I couldn't get out of the house and I had no work to do, I did something called Fridays Live with
Right.
Raj
I
Nayak.
remember. Yes.
But the numbers may not have been very big because I did not promote it or socialize it or something. Just I put it on my Twitter and my Facebook. That was the only socialization I did. But I had a reasonably good following. In fact, after that, when I used to travel, I've met in 2 airports, I met people who asked me, hey, why did you stop that show? Why are you not continuing with it?
And you also develop and grow an all new following, people who don't know you from your existing domain, right?
Exactly.
People who don't know you. And I remember, I faced that same, I experienced the same thing when I was doing radio, having been spent a fair amount of time in print journalism, but radio gave me an all new opportunity to do things. Or when I was doing my blog in the early 2000s, it was an all new thing. Now, getting back to Ideabaaz, what is your target at the end of the day? You've lived your life with targets, etc. What is your
No,
target?
I've lived with targets only when I was in the corporate world, and that's when I quit. I said, "अरे सार जिंदगी भर मैंने दूसरों के लिए कमाया, okay, और दूसरों के लिए काम किया. अभी अपने लिए कमाऊंगा, अपने लिए
Isn't
काम
it
करूंगा."
tougher doing that?
Pardon?
Isn't it tougher, doing things for yourself than
It is
for
much
others?
tougher. It's much, much tougher. I also come from certain privilege. You should keep that in mind. I have a roof on my head and food on the table. If I did, and my children's education have been complete and touched, I didn't have any EMIs to pay. Had it not been there, if I had to EMIs to pay, maybe life would have been different. Maybe I wouldn't have been speaking like this, right? So that gave me that cushion to do things the way I want to do. And there comes a time in life when you sit back and say, is this all that is to life? Running, 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 chasing, chasing, chasing? Or is there more to life of living in the moment, enjoying, interacting? So I don't have a target. If you ask me what's my target is I just want to maintain the lifestyle that I'm leading, which over a period of lifetime you get comfort. And my lifestyle is very simple. I stay in the same house for the last 25 years. I drive the same car for the last, I don't know how many years now, more than uh, the model may have changed, but even the existing car that I have is 10 years old or something like that. So nothing has changed in my life. I want to maintain it. I want to probably give back to society, and I'm trying to do that in my own little way, whatever I can do. And just enjoy the rest of my life as long as I'm breathing.
You've set up House of IP, Ideabaaz, you are associated with it. Obviously, you're going to be doing a lot more than just this specific thing. So what else can one
Yeah,
expect
again,
table?
it's not driving me saying I need to do this, we need to build a company, we need to build valuation. No. The way I'm looking at it is every morning when you wake up, you need to have a purpose. You know, uh, otherwise you'll become old. At some point you'll rot. So the thing is, you need to keep yourself occupied. You need to get. So what House of Cheer or House of Hype does for me, it gives me that adrenaline rush of feeling relevant. It gives me that adrenaline rush of thinking every morning, abhi kya karna hai, abhi kya karna hai, kya kar sakte hai, aaj kya kar sakte hai. Like today morning, we were on a call at 9 a.m. in the morning, launching Ideabaaz podcast. Okay, so now, and you'll soon see it coming live. So these are things, right? और क्या कर सकते हैं, कैसे करेंगे? मजा उसी में है. They always said that the happiness is in the journey. It's not in the destination. मजा में उसमें कि अच्छा ये करते हैं. ये सही हो गया, ये सही नहीं हो गया. And that learning, it's also a learning, right? So you're keeping yourself occupied. It keeps you alive. My target is to be alive when I'm alive.
Absolutely. On that thought, I think it's an amazing interview that we've had with you. Great speaking to you. I don't know why we didn't do something similar all these years, but Ideabaaz, as I've seen the 2 episodes that came in, has been is very promising. And as I said, the fact that you are doing it in all Indian languages is an amazing idea, because finally, as we discussed,
the credit for that should go to Puneet Goenka and the ZTV leadership team, because it was their idea saying, why don't we dub it and put it in all languages? And of course, I was very happy, but yeah, it was their idea. I
think amazing idea and great thing to do that, because finally, as you are also at a stage of life where you are also looking at contributing in a way, in every possible way, to society, to the country, this could well fuel an all new revolution.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Raj Nayak, for this amazing discussion, and maybe have many more in the coming years. And to your entrepreneurship, and to you being associated with various ventures, we always look forward to hearing more from you and from whatever you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pradyuman. Such a pleasure always speaking to you. What I'm most happy about today is I'm seeing you after such a long time.
Right. It's just that one doesn't, you aren't very regular at industry events. For once, I've started, being a little infrequent at these forums. But yeah, always good meeting, whether it's virtual or in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And next time you're in Bombay, give me a call. We should have a meeting.
I will do that. Right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.